with that, yeah, we got 3 minutes till the next debate. I'll make like a short announcement, but yeah, if you guys can, please tap your screens, like the live, share with anybody who you think might be interested. We have like a lot of people showing up today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys being here. Thank you for the gifts. The gifts do get reinvested back into the project. So typically how TikTok works is you get a bunch of gifts from live streams and you can put it into your PayPal account and use it for gas, projects. I use it for, maybe like editing or, getting like CapCut, whatever their plan is that you pay for, different things, right? Reinvesting into the project. And with that, we're going to get on to the next debate. It's going to be Jrob versus Missy. The Christian God is logically possible. And yeah, I'm going to pull up their format, change the background, and then we'll be good to go. Yup. Let's see. I have it right
How you
here.
doing, J-Rob?
Oh, I'm blessed. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I can't complain.
Hell yeah.
What's
I'm looking
up? That's
forward to
what's
this
up.
debate.
Coco.
Oh,
What
I
up,
can
G?
turn my camera on, right, Coco?
Yeah, you guys can turn your camera on or turn them off. And yeah, for all debaters, yeah, you can turn your camera on, turn it off. Just don't flash us. Well, no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the other debaters. Sorry, that wasn't aimed at you, but like it was a joke.
I do have my laptop pulled up for notes. It's in front of me because I'm like, take notes.
Yeah. And then yeah, the format for this debate is going to be 7-minute openers, 5-minute rebuttal period, 7-minute cross examinations, and then 5-minute closers. It's going to be approximately a 1 hour and 2-minute debate. And with that, we can get right to it. The Christian God is logically possible. J-Rob, you're going to have the affirmative. So you can have a 7-minute opener. Then we'll get to Missy's. Then we'll get to the rebuttals. And we'll go on from there.
All right.
So give me 1 sec to set the timer. There we go. And your 7 minutes will start when you say your first word.
All right. All right. Cool, man. Thank you for having me in this debate. So I'm here just to argue that the Christian God is logically possible. Yeah. So basically, all I have to do is just show that there doesn't contain any contradiction within the ontology of the Christian God. So I think I could just start off by just stating what we believe the Christian God is. Obviously, we believe in a triune God. God is, one essence that is shared between three persons, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Um, so I guess she's gonna have to show me how there's some logical contradiction in that. Also, just God itself, right, is a necessary being. Um, so basically, everything that we see in this world and in the universe is contingent. Um, you know, time, space, and matter could have failed to exist, right? So there has to be an overall necessary existence in order for anything to exist. Um, and my argument is going to obviously be that necessary being has to be a personal being, right? Because an impersonal cause would have a eternal effect. If it was eternal necessary existence, it would also have to have an eternal cause because there's nothing to restrain it, right? It would just like if it was an infinite cause, then it would just be, right? But we see that this world changes, so obviously there would have to be something constraining that infinite effect. So that would necessitate intellect and will, a choice to create a finite universe. And then if that if that necessary being is perfect, right, what we're calling God here, he would have to be maximally perfect, complete in himself, and we argue he's the grounding of all morality as well. So the argument that we posit is that our God is love by nature, and inherently he is love. Essentially, his essence is love, and therefore he would have to be triune. So, because basically, a one personal God would be contingent in his love, whereas he would have to create something to love, right? Whereas the triune God, it is essential to his being, to his nature, that he has a subject to love, right? And then also the love shared between them has to also be a underlying reality. So that's going to be how his love.
Oh, you good, J-Rob?
Uh,
Oh, you good?
sorry.
Oh shit. I can give you like 4 minutes. Um,
Can you hear me? Hello.
yeah,
Okay.
let me restart your timer. I'll give you like 4 minutes. Um, then we'll continue.
Sorry about that. I got a phone call.
Oh no, you're good. And then it starts whenever you say your first word.
All right. Yeah, we're good. So I left off stating that if God is love, then he has to be love. And love has to be inherent to his being, his essence. And if love is inherent to his being and essence, he can't have contingent love. In order for him to be necessary, um, his essence can't be contingent on something outside of himself. So if he's loving, he would have to, if it's if it's a one personal God, he would have to create something to love. Whereas the triune God, he has the subject whom he loves, right? The Father loves the Son, and then the Son receives love from the Father, and then also shares love with the Father, and that love shared between those two is a underlying reality in the Holy Spirit. So it's three relations within one being. All right. Um, and also on to that, being that God is love, then a part of love that we understand is that it is self-giving. And being that love is self-giving, then um, when we look at the world that God creates, we would expect him to express the highest expression of love. And there is no greater expression of love than to sacrifice, right? To give up something for something that you deem more valuable. And so if I'm just an agnostic and I'm entertaining the thought that a loving God exists, then I would expect him to create the proper conditions in which he could express the greatest love possible. And Christianity is the only uh, historical, theological worldview in which we can see that demonstrated. So I'm sorry, I hate trying to read notes and do this at the same time, but I guess just to break it down, basically, a contingent reality requires a necessary being. A necessary being must be personal. If God is perfect, love must be essential to his nature. Essential love requires eternal relationality, and eternal relationality within the divine essence implies trinity or triunity. Right? Perfect love, perfect justice implies self-giving, self-sacrifice for restoration. Um, so that's my worldview. So ultimately, you just have to show me that there's some logical contradiction entailed by this worldview. Um, so I'll just end it right there and wait for her rebuttals.
Okay. With that, thank you for your candor. Um, we're going to move on to Missy's opening statement. So that'll be the end of J-Rob's opening statement. Missy, you're going to get 7 minutes on the clock. And it starts whenever you say your first word.
All right. So first off, I want to say thank you, everybody. It's so nice to be here. This is my first formal debate here, and so thank you, Coco, and for all of the people, the moderators, for you in the chat. Appreciate y'all. Um, So today I'm going to be explaining why the God of the Bible, as presented by Jrob, holds inherent logical contradictions. So I first want to start off by presenting the attributes of God, which are commonly understood within the Christian framework, which would be the omni-properties. I'm assuming that we all know which ones these are, but just in case we don't, omnipotent is all-powerful, omniscient is all-knowing, omnibenevolent is all-good, or desiring to have an all-loving will, and omnipresent being everywhere, always, all at once. And some people don't hold to that last one. I do. Jrob probably does as well. Alright, so what is my burden? My burden is to prove that I only need to entail that there is a singular logical contradiction within these attributes of the ontic of God. If I do that, the entirety of Jrob's position falls apart. If there lies a contradiction within the ontic of who God is, that is the what will make God logically impossible. And so when I'm going to go through this, I also want to point out really quickly that Jrob was talking about a necessary being. As someone who takes to foundationalism, I don't necessarily hold that to be a thing, and I would love to get into that. If anybody is curious about foundationalism, it's how, instead of needing logic to be grounded in the mind of God, which is what Jrob is proposing, that logic is grounded in God's mind or is in some way his nature. I grounded on something a little bit more brute, and that would be the fundamental facts of our universe. Physics, quantum mechanics, or quantum fields, things like that. So I, as a pragmatic foundationalist, I will argue that belief as a starting point does not require further justifications. Our senses, or our phenomenology, are confirmed by constant observation, not by assuming a theological premise. So what this is saying is that instead of needing logic to be grounded in some sort of conscious mind, we can take the fundamentals that we see and apply them to utilize and ground logic that way. So the idea that there needs to be this necessary mind, I don't understand how that would be possible or necessary for this conversation when speaking about logical possibility. So I was a little bit confused on that. As far as the omni-properties, I can throw out a couple because there's honestly so many that I could have picked from. Let's go with omnipotence first. If God exists, well, this is going to be the problem of evil, actually. So if God exists, he is omnipotent and omnibenevolent, as my interlocutor claims. There ought not be evil. P2, evil exists. Conclusion, God is either not omnipotent or not all benevolent. Awesome. Now, that's just one of many. I have lots of other ones that I can't wait to dive into with Jrob. When it comes to this conversation, we have to look at not only the attributes with which Jrob has presented, but we also have to look at how are we coming to these conclusions, right? I think that I've laid out a very great foundation for why I come to the conclusions of what I conclude. Whereas Jrob has to now ground some sort of necessary mind as being necessary for logic to even exist, whereas I don't hold that to be the case. And so I think that more burden is on him. However, I do have a couple of other ones that I could go through. Let's go with omnibenevolence. Premise one, or is going to be if God exists and is omnibenevolent and omniscient, so all good and all knowing, he ought want a personal relationship with all beings and knows how to have a personal relationship with all beings. People who have non-resistant non-belief exist. I'm going to define non-resistant non-belief: a person not knowing or not knowing of or not actively opposing or resisting a relationship with God, and do not have a relationship with God. So people who have non-resistant non-belief exist and do not have a relationship with God. Conclusion: either non-resistant, since non-resistant non-belief exists, God cannot be both benevolent and omnibenevolent and omniscient. These are two of 4 to 5 that I have written down alone around the attributes of God. And so, let's see, how much time do I have? I'm blind as a bat, if you can't tell with my eyes. It's 43 seconds. I think I'll pass that over. Pass that over to you, Jrob.
Okay. With that, that's going to conclude Missy's opening statement. So both of the opening statements are done. Now we're going to move into the rebuttal section, which this is not the cross-examination. This is just you guys talking by yourself, your rebuttal period. So Jrob, you're going to get 5 minutes to say your thoughts on Missy's opening statement, do a rebuttal, and then Missy will do the same. So your 5 minutes will start whenever you say your first word.
Okay, yeah, we go ahead. Appreciate the opening. So I guess my question is like, where are you deriving the contradiction in like my conceptualization of the Christian God? Because basically, you made your arguments on like, or you kind of stated your position on necessary being and foundationalism and stuff, and that's fine. That's not what we're here to debate. We're here to debate like whether or not there's some type of contradiction derived in my worldview. So if you want to go ahead and like tell me exactly what's the contradiction.
Oh wait, this is not the cross-examination. This is you saying your thoughts on like her opening statement. It's just a solo rebuttal period.
I thought you said we could talk. Okay,
Oh no,
my
no,
bad.
no, not
My
yet.
bad, my bad.
Not
All
yet.
right. So yeah, I mean, yeah, she didn't really show me like where a contradiction is. I mean, she did try to bring up the problem of evil. There's no I just reject I think it was your first premise that if God exists, evil ought not exist. I reject that premise because uh, if God is all loving, and He wants beings who can love, right? There has to be the possibility of people rejecting God. And if God is all that is good, if He's the source of goodness, then um, rejecting Him and separation from Him would be evil in and of itself. So there's nothing. Um, contradictory here because love is a good thing. So if love is good and it requires the potential of evil, then a loving God would create a world where evil does exist. So there's no contradiction there. And then you brought up the other argument about non-resistant non-believers. So I just reject the idea that non-resistant non-believers exist. So you're gonna have to make an argument for that. Um, so honestly, I do want to like those are the only two arguments that you made that like if they fought, if they ran through, they would posit a logical contradiction. Everything else, are just different perspectives about reality. So I'll just give my time over to her, and hopefully we can see if her arguments run through.
Okay, thank you for your rebuttal. That's gonna end your countdown, and then Missy, you're gonna have a 5-minute rebuttal to his opening statement. It starts whenever you say your first word.
All right. Yeah, so I would have loved to kind of respond to what you were speaking to if I had any kind of understanding as to what you were talking about. There must be an eternal, there's necessary being, which you're claiming must be necessary, must also have a purposeful relationship. You've made this claim, and you have not given me any reason as to why I should think that a necessary being exists, let alone that the necessary being requires a purposeful relationship. That it must have an eternal cause. There's something it must be the eternal cause. And you said that there is something constraining the there, so that there is nothing constraining the infinite, which necessitates for a finite universe. This felt so incoherent. And then at the end, when you gave your final syllogism, I was barely able to keep up because it was about love. How is love going to prove the logical existence of God? Especially if we haven't established, and you have not argued for, even a necessary God existing, and why I should even hold that. So that's why, there's not much to bring up, because you're saying on premise one, a necessary being exists, and I deny that. You've given no reason for me to believe why I ought believe that a necessary God exists. And so until then, until we can get into the meat and potatoes of this, I'm gonna say that's my time for that.
Okay. And with that, we're going to end your time. And okay, so opening statements and rebuttal periods have been done. So now we're going to move on to cross-examination. It's going to be 7 minutes for both of you, 2 rounds of cross-examination. So the affirmative is going to go first. Jrob, this is your cross-examination. It's time to ask questions and make points to affirm your position. Your 7 minutes will start whenever you say your first word.
Okay, all right, we're good. So I'm not sure if I confused you or anybody in the chat as well. I think I saw some people. I'm not here to argue that the Christian God exists. So that's obviously my belief, right? That's my perspective. That's my worldview. So I was just informing you on my worldview so that you can show me that there's some contradiction entailed in it. So the burden of proof is on you to show that, not whether or not you think a necessary being exists, not whether or not I can prove a necessary being exists, but whether or not a necessary being is logically possible. So that's where you have to show me that the Christian God is not logically possible.
Should I mean, why are we talking about love and necessary being when we're talking about the omni properties, which are the attributes of God, which is where I give up the direct contradictions?
Well, yeah. So I addressed. So I was telling you my position on my worldview. So I was trying to allow you to poke holes in that worldview to show me that there's a logical contradiction entailed. But if you want to focus more on the problem evil, that would I do agree with the
Well, I
omni
just
property.
think that if you'd like me to be honest, it's well, no, I can just say that on my turn. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, just show me anywhere where you think there's a logical contradiction. If you want to go to the problem evil, where's the contradiction in my worldview?
Sure. So let's go with the problem of hiddenness. I presented this earlier. Would you like me to present it again?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If God exists and is omnibenevolent and omniscient, he ought want a personal relationship with all beings and knows how to have a relationship with all beings.
Okay. So if you want to go to the second premise,
Yeah.
I don't really hold to the first one, but you could
In
continue
what
going.
way? That's a really important
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
In what
yeah. I
way?
don't believe that. I don't believe that omnibenevolent God ought have a relationship with His creation. He doesn't. That's not something that he ought do. It's something that he chooses to do.
So, as all loving, he shouldn't love everyone,
Yeah, he could love beings without having like a relationship with them.
but he's all loving. So, he
Right,
would
right,
want
right.
to have an all loving relationship with all beings because he's all loving, not
So
partially loving,
so
all loving.
yeah, so I could be loving of, I don't know, uh, animals, and I don't have to have a relationship with the animals. I could just watch them, see them interact with the rest of my creation. So
You're not
so there's
omnibenevolent.
yeah, but well, you're trying to say that it's entailed that an omnibenevolent God has to desire a relationship, and I'm not seeing that.
So, if I'm understanding this correctly, the problem with P1 is if God exists and is omnibenevolent, he might want a personal relationship with all beings and knows how to have a relationship with all beings. He might want that.
Yeah, that's a stronger case that you can make. Yeah.
All right, so I mean, there's going to be a problem there, right? Like if you're saying that he is all loving,
hmm
means he loves everyone and everything equally and to the most extent. Non-resistant non-belief would not exist because people would have no reason not to accept this universal love
So what's the argument for that though?
because he's all loving. He loves all beings, correct?
Yeah, but
Does he love all
where's
beings equally? Yes or no?
love all beings equally?
Yes. Does he love all
Uh,
beings equally?
I would not say that he loves all beings equally now.
Then how is he all loving?
Yeah, because he still loves the beings, right? He's
But
giving
then that's
love to
not
all
all loving.
beings.
That's only partially loving.
No, it's not partially loving. There's different um, expressions of love, and it can be expressed differently depending on the type of agent that exists. So he can still be loving to every being, but express it differently based on the type of being that it is.
So he does love everyone equally.
I wouldn't say okay. You could say equally, sure, but not. I don't know the word I'm trying to
Can you
use here, but
define? Well, it's not my cross. It's yours. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Can you define omnibenevolence then? Because maybe it's just a misunderstanding in our terms.
Yeah, omnibenevolence means like yeah, he's all loving. Like he loves his creation. He has this desire for goodness within you know all things that are created. This expression, this commitment towards goodness is there, but I'm not sure how you're trying to entail that. Being that he's all loving, he has to desire a specific type of relationship with each of his creations.
Sure, so if he was all loving, he would want to have the experience of all love, and he would have the experience of all love. And so it seems only natural, and I could be wrong here, right? There is a possibility he ought not want a personal relationship, but in that way, he's not loving that person. He's saying, but that one, no, I'm not going to be all loving to that.
That
That that
that that
that to me, how is that not a contradiction?
that doesn't follow.
Why?
Um, yeah, it doesn't follow that everything that I love, I have to express that love the exact same way. That's
Uh,
that's not.
No, but
and
you
we do have
must.
to end it there. That's going to be J Rob's cross examination. So now we're going to move on to Missy's cross examination.
Mhm.
Missy, you're going to get 7 minutes, and it starts when you say your first word.
Yeah. So actually, we were in the middle of it. Define all of the omni properties for me. So we start with, let's go with omnipotence first. How would you define omnipotence?
Yeah, he could do anything that's logically possible.
Anything logically possible. Thank you. And that's why I always ask, because I could have gone down a line of questioning there. All right. Omniscience.
Omniscience, yeah, he's all knowing. He knows all true propositions.
So having all knowledge sets, or just having all
Right.
knowledge.
Yeah.
So containing all knowledge. I do have a question here. Would you consider pain to be knowledge? I.e., if I stub my toe, is the feeling of that pain knowledge?
Is the feeling of it like
Yes.
you know how you feel?
So yeah, that would be my question, right? Is let's say I bump my knee and it starts to hurt, right? Is that a type of knowledge that God has?
I'm sorry. Does God knows how it feels to bump your head?
Basically, I'm asking, does God have the capability of having epistemic access to qualia of individuals?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he can feel pain.
Can he feel pain if he chooses to? Yeah, he knows what pain feels like.
He knows what pain feels like, so he feels pain.
It's not that he feels it; he knows what it feels like.
So he knows what pain feels like. That wasn't my question. My question was, does he know what pain feels like? Not like,
That's what I just said.
no, does he know what pain is? Like, has he
Yeah.
ever experienced pain? I apologize.
Well, yes, he's experienced pain. Yeah.
So then he would have access to that. Awesome, cool. We can go down to omnibenevolence. Or let's go to omnipresent. How would you define omnipresent?
Omnipresent. Basically, there's nothing outside of his presence.
Nothing outside of his presence? Okay.
Yeah, he's before all.
And omnibenevolence?
All loving. You know, he always wills the good.
Always willing good. Is God's love good?
Yeah, of course.
Is having a relationship with God good?
Yep.
Okay. Then how is God's omnibenevolence being all loving and always willing the good? How is him not having a relationship with someone beneficial and good?
Yeah, because not again, if God creates a thing, it doesn't require a relationship. Not everything requires a relationship.
So we're saying that a relationship with God is going to cause the highest amount of goodness.
I mean, what's your argument for that?
Well, that's what you had just admitted. You said he's
What?
always open, always willing the good, and then I asked,
Right.
is having a relationship with God good? And you said yes. So, by your own admission, that isn't.
Yeah, but we're talking. Well, when you just say having a relationship with God, good, right? Is I guess it's going to be like, what are we talking about? Humans? Or are we just talking about anything that exists has the?
I'm using it in reference to what you said. You said all loving and always wills good. I am using whatever
Mhm.
that definition is.
Okay, so when we're talking about like personal entities, yes, I would agree. Yeah, he wants a relationship with all personal entities, sure,
Okay.
but
So he wants to have a personal relationship.
not every being. I guess I would say not every being um, can have a personal relationship with God.
All right. So you just said that God wants a relationship with all. You said that. You admitted that. So then let's go back to my premise. P1, if God exists and is omnibenevolent and omniscient, he ought want a personal relationship with all beings. You just admitted he wants a relationship with all beings, so he wants a personal relationship with all beings. And knows how to have a relationship with all beings. People who have non-resistant non-belief. A great example of this is any individual who has never perceived Christianity or the Christian God. Someone who has never had access to that knowledge, that would be non-resistant non-belief. Would we agree there?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so let's say like a 5-year-old, right? He hasn't been told
Mhm,
about God. He's never been
mhm,
expressed to anything, right? He's that
mhm.
non-resistant non-belief. He just doesn't believe because he hasn't been told yet. Is that
So
non-resistant non-belief?
so if you're talking about like just in the moment, he's incapable of believing. So it's not going to be non-resistant non-belief. It's just going to uh you know not have any ability to believe.
Okay, so what if it's a 23-year-old who has lived in the Amazon for their whole life and has never seen another civilization, right? Besides their own. They don't have a religion, they don't have a god. Would that be non-resistant non-belief?
No, because so God's, attributes are clearly seen like within the world. So the belief in God is inherent to mankind, right? But we can suppress that belief,
The belief in God is inherent to mankind.
right?
When you say the belief in God, I'm assuming you mean your God.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Um,
There's only one God.
I'm just going to really quickly say non-resistance. So when I talk about non-resistant non-belief, I mean an individual who, for whatever reason, either doesn't know about and or does not have any particular care either way, right? Non-resistant non-belief. And then I think my time's up.
Okay, and then we'll have to end it there. So that's going to be the first round of cross examinations. Now we're going to move on to the second round. Jrob, you're going to get 7 minutes. Also, just a reminder for your cross examination, it is your time to be in control, ask questions to establish your position, and challenge your opponent's position, and ultimately convince the audience why they should believe you over your opponent. But yep, Jrob, you're going to get 7 minutes. I mean, it starts when you say your first word.
All right. Yeah, this debate's kind of weird for me. I'm not gonna lie because I feel like I'm supposed to be on the defense here. She has to, in order for her to, for her argument to win, she has to show a logical contradiction. So I guess I've already presented my view. So I guess I'm not like gonna defer to you, but you can ask your questions to try to show a logical contradiction in my worldview.
If that's the case, I would prefer that it be passed to me. The time be passed to me.
Well, I won't. So you want me to end my time so
Yeah, if
you
that's
can
the
just
case, like if you
have your
don't
time?
have any questions, that's fine. I just want to make sure that when I'm in my time, I'm in my time.
Okay. I guess if I'm going to ask any questions, let me think if I could think of anything. So based off of what you were saying, um, when you're trying to, make these arguments, you have to show, like within my worldview, how there's a logical contradiction, and you just kind of like rejecting certain ideas about my conception of God isn't like showing a contradiction.
Um, so the thing about me going all the way through love and he wants a relationship with us, and then showing examples of non-resistant non-belief, and then presenting a syllogism that wasn't enough to be considered a contradiction.
Well, yeah, your arguments don't fall through though, right? I
No,
got
I
I
mean, you've given me no reason to believe that a non-resistant non-belief, that you're saying that this person believes because God is what written on their hearts, or they can see Him.
in
That's not
creation.
belief,
Yeah.
right? We're talking about non-resistant non-belief. This isn't an individual who wants to not believe about God. This is an individual who doesn't know. That's like to say that, oh, this individual who doesn't know something actually they do know something. No, that's not how knowledge works. If they have never perceived the Christian God, how can they be resistant towards the belief of something that they don't believe in or don't
So
know of?
so do you believe that we can like subconsciously know things?
I'm gonna need you to like. Are you asking? Do we have subconscious processes that go like? Of
All right.
course we have subconscious processes, right? I
Okay.
mean, And my heart's
Okay,
beating.
so
Yours is too.
right. So subconsciously, we can know things even though we may, consciously not be aware of these things. So
Uh,
then again, with that being said, then yes, you could like even with what we just presented here, one can have this subconscious belief in God, but suppress it in their actions and the way they live, with wickedness, and kind of ignore that unction that we should live in a loving way, we should live in a respectful way, and we should acknowledge the Creator that has given us, this life that we have.
so it's yours. It's yours. So I guess
Yeah.
I'm just really confused on what would non. Okay, do you think non-resistant non-belief is even possible?
Yeah, I don't. So I guess let me let her get her time, because like I said, like it's weird trying to, get you to show me a contradiction. So I'm gonna give her her time so she can try to make an argument that follows through with the logical contradiction of mine.
Okay, yeah, that's totally fine if you want to concede your time, and then yeah, we'll get to our cross examination. Um, I guess one last confirmation. You're okay with that?
I'm good.
Okay.
So, well, um, you just let me know when I'm good, champ.
Yeah. Your 7 minutes begins whenever you say your first word.
All right. So first, I have a couple of questions. Do you hold that free will exists?
Yes.
Would you affirm that free will is compatible with your God? Or would you
Is it
hold that
compa-
free will is necessary for your God?
Do you mean like that God has free will, or that like
That we have free will because of God necessarily or not?
right? Yeah.
So we have free will. And is
Yeah,
that
we have free.
because of God?
Well, yes, because of God. Yeah.
Okay. P1. If God exists and is omniscient and omnipotent, then he
Uh-huh.
knows exactly what you will actually do and
Hmm.
controls what you actually will do. P2. If God is controlling what you actually do or choose, you do not have free will. Conclusion. God cannot be both omniscient and omnipotent and allow free will to exist. That is a direct contradiction between not just one thing, right? Not just omniscience and omnipotence, but now we're throwing in free will. Right? That's one there's one. How would you deal with
Yes.
that?
Yeah. So God is not controlling what we do. So I'll just reject that premise. So
In
free
what way?
will, yeah, free will entails that God's not in control of our choices that we delineate, but rather we are. So
Sure, that's exactly why omniscience and free will were in contradiction. This is why I bring up the contradiction. This is not like a good thing for you, right? Like um, when it comes to omniscience and omnipotence and saying, God doesn't control what you do, um, you're taking away power from God. You're saying God doesn't control that. He doesn't have this power over you. And so I find that to be odd since we've admitted that God is all powerful. So is your contention with this that
well,
um, God exists but he doesn't control people?
God is sovereign. So um, when we're talking about uh, uh, so when you're trying to say that he doesn't have power because he gives us free will, that's not entailed in free will, right?
Is
Just be
control a part of power?
Huh?
Is
Well, when we're
control
talking
a
about
part of
power,
power?
when we're talking about power, all we're saying is that he can do anything that's logically possible. That's not saying that he's controlling everything.
If he is omniscient, then he knows exactly what you will actually do. And since you
Okay.
cannot go against his nature, he is the one that set that forward.
What do you mean by go against his nature? We believe we can go against his nature. That's what is entailed in
No,
free will.
God can't go against his own nature.
Yeah, God can't. Right.
God can't go against his own nature, right?
Okay.
So, did you catch it? You were saying
I,
that
I'm.
God is allowing free will, correct?
Right.
And that God
How?
is all powerful. Is
Right.
control a part of power? Yes or no?
Is control a part of power?
Yes.
I mean, power can be expressed through control.
In order to be all powerful, do you need to be in control of everything?
No.
Wow, that is quite a different definition from like I think that yeah, you have to be able to have control over everything in order to be all powerful.
No.
If
No.
now let me
Powerful.
ask you a question. What's something out of God's control then?
I mean, free will. What we choose.
So free will is the only thing that is outside of God's control. Yet he
Well,
knows
no.
exactly what
I
we are
mean,
going to do and
I
that
mean,
outcome is not going to change.
I mean, there's a multitude of things that God is. We don't believe God is just controlling every single thing. He creates. He creates an environment or nature, order, right? And then he's not. He's not like all the time, causing gravity to pull things down, right? He created that order and is set in order. It, like when you're I'm not sure how we're conflating the idea of being capable, because when we say omnipotent, all we're saying that is he is able to do anything that's logically possible. That doesn't mean that he's controlling everything.
So I asked for power, right? And this is the really important part because power doesn't just mean that you can do. It also means that you have to in certain scenarios, right? Um, a really great example of this. So God's power, right? He cannot put limits upon it, correct?
He can't put limits upon his power.
Yes, he wouldn't be able to put limits upon his own power. That would take away from his omnipotence, correct?
Like, I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Let's
Put
say
limits.
he decided to put himself into a physical form only. He couldn't do that.
If he decided, it would entail a logical contradiction.
So he
So
couldn't
yeah,
do it.
yeah, he can't do that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, and when we're talking about control, I'm saying that he will control what you do because his will is that of the. I mean, you've already admitted that his will is part of his power.
His will's a part of his power. Sure, I guess you could say that.
So this is just it
But
really
I don't.
confuses me when you say control, but
Well, yeah, yeah,
he doesn't
because
have control over everything in the universe.
because what we're saying is
If
that
he doesn't have control, then he doesn't have omnipotence. That is just what it is. If there's something he can't control, he's not all powerful.
no, it's not that he can't, right?
Finish your
Well,
last sentence.
uh,
Okay, finish what
yeah,
you're gonna say.
okay. I mean, he can control what people do, but free will entails that he doesn't control what people choose.
Okay, and with that, we have to move on to the closing statements for the debate. So we did the two cross-examination rounds. Then closing statements are going to be 5 minutes each, and then after that, I'm going to put up a poll, and everyone can vote on the poll. And this debate will be decided by audience vote. I couldn't get judges, so it'll be decided by audience vote. We got a
Oh
lot of
man, you gotta get some.
Christians and atheists in here,
I don't
so
know about that. You gotta get some judges, man.
yeah. Next time, yeah,
I got a
we're
lot
gonna
of
do.
haters on TikTok, man.
J-Rob, the audience votes doesn't mean anything. They're gonna like.
Yeah, I know.
There's no way to have that be unbiased.
But with that, J-Rob, your 5 minutes will start whenever you say your first word.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I guess everybody, is able to see that there's no logical contradiction. Um, in anything. I didn't get one logical contradiction out of her. I'm all open to be critiqued under my worldview, and if there is one, then I'll accept it. But we have to, actually, engage with my worldview in order to, you know, show that it's illogical. So I showed, I said what I believe in, and when she's talking about like omnipotent, um, like just power just means one has the ability to do a thing, right? Control is going to be something different. So uh, um, so when she's trying to make these arguments, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she's just kind of confused on that part of it, like what omnipotence means. But when we're talking about free will and whatnot, God has the ability to create agents that have the ability to make choices that aren't his doings, right? That he's not controlling. That's logically possible. You would have to show that that's not logically possible, that there's a contradiction in God having the ability of creating agents that can make their own choices. So you just saying that, there's a contradiction in controlling. We're not saying that God is in control of their choices. So, yeah, that doesn't fit within our paradigm. Uh, so, yeah, I mean, I honestly, I thought you were gonna dig in on the Trinity or something. I was literally looking up notes to defend the Trinity because that's typically what people argue against. When we're talking logical possibility. Uh, but I guess it was good for me to at least study more about the theology, and I guess I'll just end right there because I don't really have anything to engage with regards to the arguments that she posed. I show that there is no logical contradiction. I think the closest thing she came to would be the non-resistant non-believers. But within our Christian paradigm, it's not post hoc. It's not me trying to avoid anything. If you study the Bible, it talks about how people have the knowledge of God and suppress the truth. So I'm not trying to squirm away from the argument by saying that Christians, we don't believe in non-resistant non-believers because Christian theology already tells us that we have this knowledge. So yeah, I just hope that we get a better understanding, and hopefully Missy, we debate all the time, so we can do it some more.
Yeah, always.
Okay, and with that, that'll conclude J Rob's closing statement, and then we're going to move on to Missy's. And actually, there's an idea that I have right now, right? So, we are going to do a poll for audience vote, but what we could do for judges is if anyone in the audience, specifically people that I know are creditable, would like to come up and judge this debate, I will allow it. So, like, I'm going to need two Christians, two atheists, and somebody that's neither Christian or atheist, and we could have an audience like select of like five judges. I'm willing to do that. Some people that have been mentioned in the comments are like Prince, K. I'm gonna bring those two up. I think they're both Christians, and then like I'm gonna need two atheists, and then I'm gonna need like somebody who's agnostic or something. Oh, Phil, bro, you're an agnostic. Okay, he can be the fifth judge to tie break. We're gonna need two atheists. But Missy, you're gonna do your closing statement. I'm gonna bring the judges up, and yeah, we'll get to it. But and it will start whenever you say your first word.
All right. So at the beginning of my opening, if we all remember correctly, I said that I only had to show one logical inconsistency. All I had to show was one logical contradiction, and that the rest of the worldview falls apart from there. And so not only have I provided one contradiction, I've provided 4 throughout the time of the argument. So I'll go through those again. So the first one's going to be the problem of evil. Again, I'll go through my syllogism. If God exists, he is omnipotent and omnibenevolent, as my interlocutor claimed. There ought not be evil. Evil exists. God is either not omnipotent or not omnibenevolent. Now, the J-Rob's problem with this is that it ought not be evil. He's saying some sort of claim where there is a place where God can do some if it means that they get better benefits. No, that does not hold up under any scrutiny. If he is omnibenevolent, then he would want the good of all. Point blank, period. Now let's go into omniscience. I gave one argument for omniscience, and that is if God exists and is omniscient and omnipotent, then he knows exactly what you will do and controls what you actually will do. When I'm using the word control here, I'm not saying that he actually dictates. I'm saying that he is in authority over, he controls over this individual or these groups. And so saying, well, God doesn't have control, it's denying him the power of those individuals, his creation. And so allowing him to give away some of his omnipotence to creatures, I mean, that's still, he's limiting himself even more. So I've proved even more so than that in that one where the contradiction lies. Not Gandalf. God cannot be omniscient and omnipotent and allow free will to exist. Now we've talked about omnibenevolence, and I brought up non-resistant non-belief. I'll give my syllogism one more time. If God exists and is omnibenevolent and omniscient, he ought want a personal relationship with all beings and knows how to have a relationship with all beings. People who have non-resistant non-belief, especially a person who doesn't know of, or oppose or resist a relationship with God, they exist and do not have a relationship with God. Since non-resistant non-belief exists, God cannot be both omnibenevolent and omniscient. Again, another contradiction within the omniproperties. So this contradiction, he was saying something along the lines of, well, non-resistant non-belief doesn't exist. I think that everyone here can say that, like, a baby, for example, is not lacking a belief in God. They just don't understand anything. They're not saying God doesn't exist. They're not saying God does exist. They don't have a belief. And I think the same thing could be said for individuals in language-deprived situations. I think we could go for individuals who have extreme mental difficulties. We could go into so many different types of individuals who might classify as non-resistant non-belief. So to just say point blank, those people don't exist, not only is it minimizing to the individuals who do exist and who express non-resistant non-belief, but you're also making a claim about the entirety of the world, that every single person subconsciously knows something. How can a subconscious knowledge become a conscious knowledge unless it's a bodily function? Because the subconscious functions, right? Breathing, chewing, swallowing, creating saliva, moving blood around you. None of those are conscious. So when we talk about unconscious knowledge, what does that even mean in the context of this? That was very confusing. And so there's just three contradictions that I've pointed out. So I think that, of course, it might be easy for Jrob to kind of brush these under with a, well, I don't think about that, and I don't agree with that one in particular. It's very obvious that if these attributes are all powerful, all loving, all everywhere, all at once, they're in direct contradiction with each other, and I don't see a way around that. So with that, I will end my time.
Okay. So that's going to be the end of her closing statement. And for everybody here, basically, that's going to be the conclusion of the Missy versus J-Rob debate on whether the Christian God is logically possible. I'm going to put up a poll, and everybody in the audience can vote on the poll, and the poll will help decide who the winner is. But I do have four judges up here. I need one more atheist judge. Someone is telling me, Will Dot, if you're in the room, you can be a judge for this debate if you watch the entire thing, and you can decide who a winner is definitively. But I'm pretty sure K is a Christian, Prince is a Christian, Phil Bro is a agnostic, and Black Stallion is our atheist. So we just need like one more atheist judge, and we can get that cracking. Oh, Will Dot's been drinking, so he can't be a judge. We can't have an intoxicated judge. But we need one more person. But while we're waiting for somebody to volunteer, I guess we can do audience comments, questions, and critiques or concerns. So we can start doing
You
that.
let Black ask his question first.
Black Stallion, you want to ask a question?
Earlier, Jrob said that God was the only way to love. Did I summarize that correctly, Jrob?
That God was the only way to love.
Yes.
I didn't. Excuse me. I didn't say that, but I mean, I do believe that.
Yes.
Sure.
What exactly did you say?
I said God is inherently love, like within His being.
Well, now that just does. Oh,
I mean, you go ahead and ask the
question.
question too, because I do believe that.
So, do you believe a non-Christian, aka someone who willingly separates themselves from God for one reason or another, can still express and experience love?
So they can like experience qualities of love, but not in its fullness.
Okay, how do we make? Now, this won't be a debate. I'll leave it off there.
Okay. And actually, if we can, if the judges are ready, we can just like rapid fire and get the judges votes. But God's pocket. You said that you're an atheist. So basically, yeah, our atheist judges are going to be Black Stallion, Gods, and our Christian judges are going to be Prince and Kay, and then our agnostic judge, the neutral judge, the fifth tiebreaker is going to be Philbro. So if you guys want to go ahead and knock yourselves out.
Yeah, so J. Rob, you had mentioned that if God exists, he's going to be inherently love, right? But we must move beyond like emotional or like biblical objections, right? And examine like the issues of ontology, so like what exists, identity, properties of like necessity, right? So I feel like you're kind of just like rejecting like the ontological problem here. It's just going to be like substance is just going to be a being that exists within itself, and the property is just going to be like a quality instated by like a substance, right? So like a person has wisdom, for example, and then like a person or like a fire has heat, but like the
Wait,
fire is
wait,
not
wait, wait, really
identical to
quick.
heat
Wait,
itself,
wait,
so I'm not understanding like where you're coming from here. Because if
wait,
we
really
say
quick.
that God is
Let me
love,
let me pause you really quick. But in regards to judging the debate, yeah, give your thoughts on like the debate and like I guess yeah, you're doing a good job. Like give your critiques of each of the contestants, and then also give your declaration of who won. But also, the audience wants me to check. You're 18 or above, right?
oh yeah, 2007, August 25th.
That I'm terrible at math. I think that checks out.
Yeah, I turned 19 this year.
That continue.
Yeah, but if we say God is love, it's just going to be like an identity claim, then we are asserting God equals love, but love appears to be like a relational property and an intentional act, like a moral disposition. So like properties do not like properties do not like exist independently in like the way substances do. So like unless one adapts to like extreme platonism, so like we that's just going to be facing like a metaphysical problem. So like if love is a property and God is like a substance, then God can literally like not be identical to love. So it's just going to be like a contradiction within your own argument. So that's just like my only issue with like your main argument, because I wasn't really tracking the full argument, but I would just say that Missy had like the more logical explanation here, so I'm just gonna side with her.
Okay, one vote to Missy. What judge wants to go next?
I'll just give my judgment and go because I have to go soon.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so the first thing is that I think specifically on the grounds of establishing a logical contradiction in God existing, Missy failed pretty badly. There was at no point in the conversation where there was actually a contradiction which was derived. Now, I'm not sure how much training in like logic that either interlocutor has, but there's a few ways that you're going to be able to actually derive a contradiction, right? So the first way is just through strict derivation, right? Or you can do so through negation introduction. You can do so through reductio ad absurdum. There's going to be a bunch of several different ways that you can actually derive a contradiction from a proposition, none of which was expressed at any point during this debate. So on those grounds alone, I think J-Rob won that point specifically. Now, where I think J-Rob failed slightly is actually pushing back on that claim. I think the first, like in the very beginning of the conversation, J-Rob had asked Missy to provide a logical contradiction, and Missy's immediate response was, do you know what the argument from divine hiddenness is? Right? So just like kind of citing and explaining the argument from divine hiddenness is not going to be something which establishes a contradiction. Secondly, I think there was a lot of equivocation and confusion on terms throughout the entirety of the debate. The equivocation was actually terrible. It was painful to listen to. If you're going to establish a contradiction in the proposition that God exists, one, you have to be working off of the theist semantics, right? Because presumably, if you're going to want to show that there's a contradiction entailed within the Christian worldview, then you have to work in the Christian worldview, right? But it seems as if Missy came into the debate with her already pre-existing definitions. She had an extremely proprietary definition of what the omni properties are, like omnipotence, omnipresence, whatever. Like all of your definitions were proprietary. I don't think a single one of them any theist would actually accept. So on those grounds, that's a knock against you as well. I think you should probably come. There's somebody's mic is, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Yeah, so I think on those grounds, I have to give a knock against you. I think you'd probably be better suited if you came a little bit more prepared. Like you actually understand how theists use these terms, what they mean. And like from the use of those terms and how they use the terms, it's going to entail this contradiction. I think that would have been a far stronger win for you. But just kind of citing arguments from divine hiddenness. And then I think you also brought up this idea of like non-resistant non-belief. That's something which is easily resolved. It's been resolved in theism for thousands of years. That's not even an argument against theism at this point. Most people take a distinction between apparent hiddenness and complete hiddenness, right? So most theists, like I don't think there's a single theist who's going to agree that there is such a thing as complete hiddenness. There might be apparent hiddenness, but apparent hiddenness is not going to be an issue for theism. So yeah, I mean, I have to give it to J-Rob, not on the grounds of J-Rob performing well, because I think he did terrible, but just simply on the grounds that she was not able to actually establish a logical contradiction. So I'm going to give my judge to J-Rob.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your response. And so far we got 2 votes in, so 1 for J-Rob, 1 for Missy. And yeah, thank you for being here.
Should I go since I'm also Krishna?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I would say like, yeah, I agree with everything that Kay said. Like, I think, I don't think that J-Rob did the best, but I think just Missy like sort of did poorly. I actually was like excited, Missy. I thought you were going to do really well. I think that you brought up some arguments that like are good arguments, but your justification for them wasn't the best. And like, I'd have to agree with like the divine hiddenness argument has been overcome like 1,000 years ago. So I didn't really hear a singular P and not P. So I don't think that you provided a contradiction. So I have to give it to J-Rob.
Okay, that's 2 for J-Rob. Who wants to go next?
I will if they're still deciding.
Yeah, go for it.
When it comes down to the argument, J-Rob showed not negligence. I don't know the exact word you could give for it, because he did listen, he did respond, but he did not actually argue with Missy's contradictions, quote unquote, because Missy also failed to state her contradictions in a way that was clear for the average person to understand. While I do understand what contradictions Missy was trying to make, I cannot judge Missy's argument based off my understanding of what she was trying to do. So I technically give it to J-Rob only for the aspect of He came in with a point. He technically stuck to it, even though he refused to engage.
Okay. So I think that's, hold on, Prince. That's
The
three,
person on
J
the
Rob.
bottom has to go. But yeah, that's
Yeah, go ahead, Gods. What you got for us?
So, listening to this entire debate, I really didn't hear either interlocutor show how God is logically possible and isn't logically possible. I feel like they weren't really prepared for this debate as well as they could have been. I don't know Missy well enough, but I know J Rob well enough that I know J Rob could have done better in stating his P not P. I know he could have done better in the way that I've debated him before. So I just feel like both interlocutors were just not sufficiently prepared for this debate because to me, they did not meet whether God is logically possible or isn't. So it's hard for me to find the symmetry breaker between the two. But if I had to pick between the two, as much as I don't want to, and I'm sorry, I have to give it to J Rob because to Black Stallion's point, even though he didn't really do a great job in giving his debate, he did try to stick to his points. And I feel like Missy was all over the place. Not once in her entire debate did I hear anything to give me cause or pause to think that God wouldn't be logically possible.
Okay. Okay, with that, we got the judges vote in. But yeah, thank you judges for judging. And I mean, technically, like, J-Rob got 4 votes, Missy got 1. So, congratulations, J-Rob. I have to give it to J-Rob.
Good job,
you wanna
J-Rob.
do-
I should have done better. I didn't realize that I had the burden, but I should have done better. So yeah, no, I'll have to do better next time. Good job.
Well, I think all of us said the same thing. Like I'm not sure if either of you did a good job of proving your sides, but I think like for you specifically, I didn't hear like a singular contradiction, and that was the
I brought
position
up.
that you were supposed to take.
This is where I was a little bit confused. And this is where I could be just, and I'd love the judges to give me a syllogism that has the conclusion of he cannot be this or that. That doesn't, that's not a P and not P.
I mean, I would say that you're more so providing a syllogism for contradictions of like some of the points he made, but not necessarily like a contradiction to God's logical existence. More so just like a contradiction to like some of the points. Like like just saying God is love, that's a contradiction within itself. So some of the points he made were contradictory, but like not necessarily that God is inherently going to be like not there. That's you didn't really contradict that point. You more so just contradicted like the things that he sees with this God. I'm not like understanding like where like I voted for you because I feel like you made like the more logical claims, just like to contradict some of his points, but not necessarily a contradiction to like his argument that God exists or doesn't exist.
Okay. So it
Right.
was
I think
more
the
of I
thing,
wasn't attacking the right things.
yeah, I
Like you
think,
proved
That's
maybe the
more
Christian
or less.
God didn't exist, but not that a God doesn't exist.
well, yeah, I think the thing I was trying to get right was that like something that I affirmed within like the Christian worldview. And then if you would have to show me that I affirm this,
That's
we affirm
technically a
this.
problem.
Well, that's what a contradiction in the Christian God would entail is that hey, Christian theology, we affirm this, and then we also affirm this, and those two would have to be a negation to each other.
That's what I
But
did.
Hold up,
we
hold
know
up, hold
you
up.
brought arguments that with semantics that
No, I need you to
we
hold up,
don't
J
hold
Rob.
to.
Wait, but also, guys, really quick.
Wait.
The next debate is starting at 8:52, and we probably need to get like at least I think like 2. Well, we have like 3 people in the guest request for like comments, questions, critiques, and concerns. So, okay, I would say judges, if there's anything else you want to say to the contestants, send it to them via DM.
All
And
right.
then let's get to these guests. But thank you guys. You guys hopped up and you were judges last minute, last notice. So thank you. I appreciate it, actually. But yeah, and then oh yeah, someone asked in the comments, is this gonna be posted on YouTube? Yes, I'm gonna be posting this to the Day of Debates YouTube channel, to the Controversial Compass YouTube channel. There's also this other YouTube channel called Black Atheist Coalition. I will be posting it there. I post a lot of myself stuff there because it is led and created by a friend of mine named Volsi. And then I will also be posting this onto Right Here, Right Now's channel. I'm collaborating with him, and he is posting a bunch of debate footage from the debate community on his channel. So if you search Right Here, Right Now. But with that, oh yeah, let's get to the audience questions. I'm going to drop the judges, but thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. It's actually, it's absolutely awesome that you guys came up and helped out. I really appreciate it.
Real quick before you drop me, have a question because this is the first time I judged. So, is there an option for a draw? Because I didn't know if there was that option because I was only really given Missy or Jrob. Because honestly, I would took a draw.
I mean, yeah, like there is an option for a draw. Yeah, in the first debate we had a tie between OG Kylo and the other guy. They all said that it was a tie. But yeah.
Okay,
I don't
but
see how there
just to
could
know
be
for
a tie.
next time.
Because even if because even if I like didn't make a good argument for my God's existence, I made the argument that I made, right, didn't have any contradictions within the argument, and that's the reason why, like, that's the title of this debate. So, but yeah, I'll let it go.
But yeah, but I mean, if you want to say that it's a draw, I mean, you can. But I guess we didn't tell you that you could draw before.
Right.
But typically, like once you submit your judge's vote, it's kind of like
That's
finalized.
fine.
But since you
That's
didn't know,
fine.
there's a draw. It's up to you.
No, it's fine. I'm going to submit to my original vote. I'm not going to change it halfway through just because I didn't know. I just know now for next time, if I become a judge up on a panel in this live, then I know I have that option. So I'll still stick to my original vote.
Based. But yeah, thank you for judging and thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And with that, we're gonna get to audience comments, questions, concerns, and critiques. The next debate is supposed to start shortly, so let me keep it to like one comment and question, and then we got to get to the next debaters out of respect. But Constantine, what you got for us?
Yeah, hey, good job, guys. Hey, Missy, I heard in your cross-examination you said, well, if God wants a relationship with me, where are you pulling that from Scripture? Why do you think God wants a relationship with you?
Say that one more time. You said, why do I think God wants a relationship with me?
Yeah, that was formulated in a lot of your questions.
Yeah,
Well,
so
God
in
should.
order for someone to be all loving, right, they would want to have the best outcome for everyone always. And so having the best outcome in this worldview would be having a relationship with God. Since not everyone has a relationship with God, God is not all loving.
So you're just equivocating love to a relationship? I mean,
No, I'm saying that in
love
order
not
to,
having a
in order,
relationship with you.
can you
I just
can you
want to know
love
where it
without
is in the
being in
text.
relation?
I
Can you
just want to
love
know where it
without
is in
being
the
in
text
relation?
that he's saying he's supposed to have a relationship with you. I mean, that was the presentation of your argument, but it just doesn't say that. I don't even know where you're getting that.
Yeah, so when I'm talking about a relationship, I'm speaking about love, the idea of love, which is a relational concept. Would we agree there?
No, he could also love to destroy you.
Sure, but it's still relational. Love is still there, a
Yeah,
relational.
it could also be a
correct?
relationship of destruction.
And so when I'm saying that God loves all, he wants to do what's best, right?
He could
We
also
agree
love. He
there.
could also love to destroy all. So it's just a false equivocation.
So
Anyway,
is that love?
What do you mean by love? I could just take benevolence to mean value. I don't even know why you keep saying love, and why do you keep saying that? Like, where are you getting that he has to love you? Where's that?
Yeah, but also like let's not turn this into like a secondary debate. If you guys want to do like a formal debate, we could like set that up, but like let's not turn it into like cross-examination. But I would say you guys could finish up, and then yeah, we'll move on to the next debate.
All right, talk to you later.
I think I answered that. So.
Oh. But with that, I think both of you guys did pretty good. And yeah, like the results came out, and yeah, thank you guys for being here. If you guys want to debate in the future, like let me know. We can run it. Any debate, I'm always down. But thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you. And good
Thanks, J
job,
Rob.
Missy.
Good. You too. Bye, J Rob.
Y'all take care.
Yeah, yeah. And with that, we're going to get on to our next debate. Our next debate is going to be sticks versus, yeah, it's going to be theosophical wonderings versus sticks on does fine tuning favor theism or naturalism? So I'm going to bring them up. Their debate is going to be decided by audience votes. They didn't really request judges. I mean, I guess we could do judges if you guys wanted to, but like that's really up to you guys because audience vote can be biased. But yeah, that's up to you guys. And so I'm gonna change the background, and then we're gonna get started.